Okay, TonyScapone here, and we've got some Black Saga Storm. I just want to talk about a couple of differences, some testing that we've been doing, and we'll run a league with it. So, some notable changes here are not only no Cabal Ritual, but also no Grim Monolith. The 2 mana ritual or additional mana slot has been removed. The second Chrome Mox has been removed, all in favor of a spell bomb, so another redraw, and something that used to come out of the sideboard. An additional land, so we are now on 15 lands, and back to the 10th discard spell, the 4th Duress. So, um, when we first moved into this bauble style build, right? Previous to that, we were actually running Grim Monolith, upwards of 4, sometimes alongside Cabal Ritual. And we weren't on as heavy a number of baubles. We had usually like 1 or 2, maybe 1 bauble and a spell bomb, maybe some toolboxy card and a redraw or a brainstone, something like that. But at some point we took all the extra mana out except for a couple Cabal rituals and put in a bunch of baubles. And we were able to find that room by trimming on lands. We were at 13 at one point, and trimming on discard. And the overall idea was if you have more redraws and effectively cantrips, you are, with 5 redraws, 5 cantrips, and 1 less discard, you're going to reach your discard just about the same amount of time as if you had 10 without the redraws. Right, pretty basic theory, especially with lands. With more redraws, you can cut down on lands because you're going to draw into them more often. But what I found is that more often than not, when we were drawing with Bauble, we were hoping to draw land. We were very hungry on lands, whether it's we need another black source, or we got wastelanded so we need a black source, or we're just looking for another saga, or Soul Land wins the game. We were definitely in need of more lands, even despite having the redraws. So I feel like having the redraws in addition to more lands has been actually a good thing. Oh, and I should mention also there's the Mycosynth Gardens, which we will talk about. So the Cabal rituals, right? And one of the reasons that removing a Cabal ritual is possible, and by adding a land is or I guess I should say that Cabal Ritual it was sometimes awkward, right? Like we wanted mana, we want mana in that slot generally, but I just think a land is more often the thing that we want over Cabal Ritual. Also, it, not for nothing, obviously improves our ad nauseam. If we go to pile view here, we can see our curve is tremendously low. We now only have 9 2-drops, 1 4-drop, so our ad nauseams are going to be very, very smooth. So on top of that, I've gone back and forth with Chrome Mox. Generally speaking, especially once you take the Cabal rituals out, we're very, very, very low on imprintables. Between the higher land count, all the baubles, all these artifacts, it's not nearly as good. I've even considered cutting it entirely, but I do think it is very important for when Saga goes off and you want a permanent mana source, but you either don't have Metalcraft or you already have an Opal in play. So it also can help Infernal Tutor get Hellbent. Or rather, it helps you get Hellbent for Infernal Tutor, which certainly comes up often enough. Plus, it is good with Ad Nauseam. I'm fine with 1. So again, very similar as far as the 10 discard goes. When we moved into the baubles, we felt as though we were able to trim on a discard spell and effectively still have just about as much discard since we have cantrips. You see decks like Ad Nauseam Tendrils, with cantrips being able to run usually like 8 protection spells, maybe 6 or 7 discard, couple veils, that sort of thing. But they have cantrips to kind of find them when they need them. And having baubles was kind of the same idea. At least we do get to the discard faster. But I will say that, again, same thing, although that was true, I think we benefit from and enjoy having both a very high number, or even higher, back to 10, of discard, in addition to having the redraws. I think it continues to be more and more important that we overload on discard as card quality increases. When you discard your opponent and they have 3 or 4 cards that are a problem, it's important that we're able to do things such as ignore Force of Will initially, take threats, expressive iterations, these things that are going to potentially allow our opponent to kill us or pull ahead, and then knowing that we're going to have discard down the pipeline. So it's felt good to go back to 10. I think it is particularly strong to go back to 10 in addition to having the baubles. This is kind of new territory, right? When you have a handful of powerful things that you're testing, it can be difficult to pinpoint what is optimal. And one of the best ways to figure that out is to just keep moving things around, applying some general and logical and effective theory, but then taking that paper and putting it into practice, right? And seeing if how it performs. So we continue to evolve and test out similar but different enough iterations that can draw us to conclusions that can bring us closer and closer to what we may feel comfortable considering optimal, right? And we may land in an area where there may be some small differences that one can choose out of preference or what the meta is, that sort of thing. But the goal here is to find as optimal as possible, given no personal preference, unless something is truly neither one way or the other, and then, of course, the metagame as it is. So that brings us to the Mycosynth Gardens, or the lack of the Mycosynth Gardens. So I do think the card is powerful. I do think it is significantly better in a deck like this than it is the Epic Gamble. I've already removed it from the Epic Gamble, and I'm certainly not looking back there. I'm coming very close to coming to the same conclusion for this deck, and I have been testing without it. It has felt good. The problem I have with the Mycosynth Gardens is a couple of things. One, it does a lot of things not well, right? Like it does not play a very good colored source. It just doesn't. Its power is in its modality, being able to cantrip into a bauble, having synergy with Saga, turning into a Lion's Eye Diamond when Saga goes off, copying an artifact land so that we can effectively have more artifacts in the deck. There's a lot to like about it, but if you look at the lands that it's competing with, you begin to understand why it doesn't quite feel good enough, right? Vault of Whispers, Urza Saga, Basic Swamp, and Soul Lands? I just, you can only run 4 of these, right? Otherwise, we'd probably have more of these. And then Soul Lands are naturally kind of restrained, right? In a deck that is hungry for black pips and that doesn't want to take damage and can't always necessarily afford to bear the cost of what City of Traders brings as a downside. So that really leaves you with replacing basic swamps. But basic swamps are really important for this deck. Black pips are super important. They come at a premium. And now, especially with our sideboard change of increasing Fatal Push, it's ever more important that we can reliably cast, even through a Collector Roof, our Fatal Push and various other spells. So I think it is extremely difficult to break through the power level or importance of these lands. And although, again, I do think the Mycosynth Gardens is a very good and powerful card, I'm beginning to feel as though it might not be good enough, which is disappointing because I do love the card. So, and the Spell Bomb. So, since taking out Cabal Ritual and one of the Chrome Moxen, we did have an extra slot to play with, and Spell Bomb, if you've been playing this deck and following, you'll know that we have tested it a lot, and we've never really come to some, ground-breaking conclusion that it wasn't good enough, right? I think ultimately we cut it for a bit so that, because it was in place of a bauble, the general theory initially was, hey, if we replace a bauble, it's basically like a bauble, a little more costly, but you get to draw now, and then you also get some utility out of it. So great, that's where it went. It played well in that slot, but ultimately at one point we cut it in favor of efficiency to try and push a general theory of efficiency. You know, if you're trying to test and come to clear conclusions, it's sometimes difficult to do that. The more one-ofs that you have, the more difficult it is to assess what your deck is doing, because it changes how the games play out so frequently, right? But we can double back once we are more clear with what we're doing and how things are playing out. And I do think it's nice to have yet another redraw effect, right? We also get a redraw effect that can draw now, as opposed to later, off of Saga. It's a panic button. And it has some very, very useful, oftentimes useful utility. Bouncing a creature is nothing to snuff at, right? You can bounce Emrakul, you can bounce Murktide, you can bounce Emissary, you can bounce Iona. A lot of these cards that some of the more degenerate decks play and think they just got you by having in play. So, and potentially more important than as just discussed, this opens up a sideboard slot. So we can play more removal. Now I've noticed that I'm losing to these toolbox green decks and elves probably more often than I'm comfortable with, right? And I think Fatal Push is the best way to combat that. I like Slaughter Pact. In fact, I love Slaughter Pact, but the other matchup that we're using these spells for primarily is for initiative, and probably more than half the time in that matchup, you're just staring down a fucking Chalice on 0, and you can't cast this card. So, I've never liked going to 2. It always felt bad, but I do want to have access to it. And I have also gone down a Haywire Might, because primarily the matchups that we want Haywire Might for, or the matchup that we want it for primarily, is White Initiative. In that matchup, we're usually just winning off of constructs. And when you think about it, if you're on the draw, your opponent puts a Chalice on 0. You either have to draw this card naturally, right? And then even then, you still need a Saga to get your Opal into play, right? Because you need to make green mana, and we can't do that without one of our zeros, and you can't cast a 0 when Chalice is on 0. So you need to get it through Saga. So you get it through Saga, and if you don't draw Haywire Might naturally, you need to get through 2 Sagas. And by the time you've gotten through 2 Sagas against White Initiative, you've either lost the game, or you've already won the game, despite Chalice on 0. I do want to have access to it. I do bring it in the matchup. I just think 2 has felt very clunky. And for that reason, right, we played 2 because, yeah, we wanted more to be able to combat Chalice. And we wanted to be able to put it into play, even if we drew it, and there was a Chalice on 1. But Chalice on 1 is rare, or more rare against us, and that occurrence is rare. Rare enough where I don't think it's worth just adding 2 for that reason only. Not that that's the only reason that we did it, but I think it's not as worth considering as maybe we thought initially. So I've come off the 2. We are more so using the card for, and I think it's fine as a one-of, for this reason, against Reanimator and against Oopsal spells. Against Reanimator, we want Leyline of the Void in play, and then we want Sagas to kill them, and then through Saga, we wind up with Haywire Might. And you want that card because you don't want your Leylines to get blown up by Serenity. Because not only are they blowing up your Leylines, they're blowing up probably your whole board. Serenity is absolutely brutal, but it takes an entire turn cycle to take effect, at which point we can kill it with Haywire Might. So it's kind of a lock if you get this card and this card in play against Reanimator. And more often than not, you have constructs in the process, because you're getting it through Saga. So it's great there. And it's good against Oops, because they play Leyline of Sanctity. You don't otherwise have an out except for Feed the Swarm. which is why one of the many reasons why I do like Feed the Swarm. I do like to vary the mana cost for Chalice. You can get it with Burning Wish. So yeah, we had 2 slots to play with thanks to bringing this into the main deck and reducing a Haywire Might, and we effectively put them right into Fatal Push, which also means we can bring it in against Cephalid Breakfast. I never really brought it in against them when we only had 1. I didn't think Slaughter Pact was all that appropriate against them, and Feed the Swarm costing 2 being sorcery speed, also not great. But now that we have 3, I think, as opposed to like bring in 1 Fatal Push against them is pretty awkward, but I think bring in 3 is quite effective. So that's also a bonus. So I suppose we've talked about pretty much all of the changes, and let's go play a league. I'll see you in the first round. Okay, here we are in the first round against Kulu Limpa. We have lost the die roll. We do, however, have a banger of a hand, although I think our opponent usually plays Mono Red Prison, which kind of sucks for us. So it looks like they're on something a bit more degenerate, and it looks like they're going to be taking our Ad Nauseam. That is interesting. Not looking good for us, but it's definitely interesting. Come on, Lion's Eye Diamond. It's not a terrible draw. Next turn we'll have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 6 mana Post Infernal, but we don't have Ad Naus. So we're going to play a Swamp. Guess there's not much use in playing these out. Ooh, land tapped. I like that. Come on, LED. Show them what's up. Oh, oh, baby. That's 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. We got a pier. Let's recount that. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, baby. Go to 9. Cast Burning Wish. Go to 7. Cast Pier. That's what you get. That is what you get. Play these out. Let's go get our Burning Wish. You know what? We probably had lethal. They're at 15. We still have lethal. We still have lethal. I guess they could have Elvish Spirit Guide Veil. So I'm actually going to peer. It's 25 cards, and it does allow us to discard them. So let's peer. We can bobble for some more info. That's a Shouldered. Bobble again for some more info. It's a Plague Engineer. Interesting. So they're on some like mono black, like fair deck. Very, very interesting. Let's cast all of our spells. We have enough to duress. They'll look at the rest of their hand. Yeah, they're on like Leyline Helm. Alrighty then. Make sure Tendrils not already in our hand. It is not. Let's get them with the tendies. Okay, this is considerably better than Mono Red Prison. Mono Black Helm. We don't care about Leyline. We're going to have discard. We don't care about Plague Engineer. We do care about Karn. We do care about Opposition Agent. So we probably want Needle. We already have Spell Bomb. Fatal Push kills Sholdred. I think I do want those. Feed the Swarm. Probably not good enough. I know obviously Leyline is good in that they can kill us with Helm. Still don't think it's worth bringing this card in. I do think I want Shadow Spear, Spell Bomb. Maybe this is too much. But I should probably be cutting baubles because of Karn. Yep. Okay, hand is a little bit awkward. Yeah, I'm gonna mulligan. Alright. I'm gonna keep this. It's also awkward, but doesn't care about that. Doesn't really care about discard. It's pretty good against Karn. Chromox is actually pretty good. It's an interesting choice what to get. I think I'm going to imprint Infernal Tutor. It seems like the obvious play, but I don't think it's that obvious. I just don't want to get hit by Opposition Agent. Otherwise, I would rather actually have Infernal Tutor to copy and get a third Saga. Well, that might be a bit too much anyways. I am going to start with Duress. And that's the Ritual Opposition Agent we were talking about. And they have Shoulder. Alright. Which does mean that we can take that with Cabal Therapy. As long as they don't draw another Dark Ritual. Now, they can get what we get from Saga, but at least we get a bunch of constructs. Do we wait another turn? No. Shoulder the Apocalypse. Oh no, they drew a Helm? That's scary. Play City. Helm is definitely scary. Yeah, we don't have Haywire Might. Don't care about Thoughtseize. Oh, and it wouldn't matter anyways, because they do have opposition agent. I'd really like to draw Fatal Push, although they still get to take this card. It didn't attack. Oh, right, because we do have an artifact. I was thinking it was a 1/1. Burning Wish is uncastable. Now they get to take a card. Where does it show it? They really take Petal? Oh, right. Then they can cast Helm. That makes sense. That definitely makes sense. Yeah, and they drew mana too, so we're dead. Alright, they got us. Game 3. Game 3, let's go. Now, one Haywire Might. Oh, Needle's also good for Helm. Not just Karn. So I like that. The problem is Saga's not reliable. Well, hopefully Fatal Push will help us out. Well, we did get one. We also have discard. This hand is fine. That's fine. I wish they wouldn't have a leyline on 7 every time. Thoughtseize you. Chalice. Thoughtseize Karn. Huh. If we take Chalice, we get Thoughtseized. Although they might feel as though they have to take Ad Nauseam. I didn't take Chalice. Right? If we took Thoughtseize, then they Chalice us. And then Karn is really going to hurt. Could just take Karn. But Chalice isn't as powerful. They might take Duress, but I think they have to take Ad Nauseam. They took Duress. If they draw Dark Ritual, we are in big trouble. I will say that. Big trouble. Dothy Voidwalker. I don't care as much about that. In fact, I can kill that with Fatal Push, but I'm not even going to do that either, because we're just going to Adnaz. Adnaz from 16, no land drop. Or we can try to beat down the Karn. I think we Adnaz. Dark Ritual. Adnaz. Alright, we got Tutor. We want mana, mana, mana. Uh-oh. Ritual's good. LED's good. Bobble's good. Petal's good. Tutor's interesting. Storm is 2, they're at 18. Opal's good. Ritual's great. I think that does it. So Storm 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, yeah. Do not wish to repeat. Imprint Fatal Push, cast Ritual, play Petal, play Opal, play LED, cast Tutor, copy Ritual, get Ritual, cast Ritual, play Bobble. We got him! Alright, we are 1-0. See you in round 2. Alright, so we are in round 2 at this point. I don't know what happened, but I went to go edit the videos and I was missing a round, and this is the one that I'm missing. So you're not going to get live footage from it. We're just going to go through the match and do a play-by-play here. So let's see. We won the die roll, and we open up a reasonable hand here. So we go ahead and start with Duress. And it looks like we're playing against the Epic Storm. And we take Relay. They have kind of a bad hand now with these Chrome Moxen. And our hand is kind of slow, but it's steady. So if they falter a bit more, should be able to take advantage of it. Alright, they go Bobble, they pass, which is kind of scary because they didn't use their Bobble to try and find silence. But we go ahead and play Wishclaw, play our stuff out so we don't get echoed. They don't get a white source. They Bobble, and then they start casting spells. So they're casting pretty much their whole hand. They only have one card left, which we know is Burning Wish, so they're just going to go for a Relay here, which is a turn too slow. It's a very good Relay, but we're just going to likely untap and Adnaz them to death. So we untap, we draw some more mana, we play out our mana, Cast Ad Nause, and opponent is looking pretty dead here. There they go. Alright, so we get game 1. Oh shoot, sorry. Now you see there's game 3. I apologize for that. Well, we keep an okay hand. It's not terrible, but we get discarded. They do have 3 Thoughtseize post board. So we hope to draw lands off of our bauble and our draw, which we were hoping for anyways. We didn't get it off of the first draw. We drew Thoughtseize. We do get an Ancient Tomb and an LED. So if we can manage to get one more turn, we will surely kill them. But the opponent starts going off, and they have an Ad Nause with a ton of mana, so they easily kill us with that one. Won't even show you the cards. We're dead. We are dead. So that match was pretty quick. I'm now on to game 3. We open up a hand that is just not good enough. And then we open up a hand that's okay. Bottom the Tendrils. Well, it's kind of awkward with a mulligan and a Chrome Mox. It's almost like a mulligan to 5. But the Tendrils was pretty awkward. So we Thoughtseize off a Swamp. And we see kind of an awkward hand. I just take the tutor. I think it's the best call here. We can play some stuff out. And we bobble them and we see silence. So that's not good news. Now we're in trouble. Because now we can't go up even if we have it. So we play some stuff out past the turn. They brainstorm on their turn and play a plateau. So no fetch land, so they're stuck with whatever they brainstormed into. And Lion's Eye Diamond would normally be a great draw. I opt to just imprint Ad Nauseam. The other option was like waiting around till we had mana to like end step Ad Nause, then untap and kill them with Wishclap, but that was going to take probably at least 2, more likely 3 or 4 turns to put together. So I figure we just put it on board and hope to draw discard. We don't have Ad Nause in our deck. We are now terrified as they put a Wishclaw into play with 4 mana. All they gotta do is draw 2 mana. We draw Swamp. They Burning Wish for Pending. And they tap out. Personally, I think this is a mistake. We can't do anything with this if you have Silence up. Well, I guess if we draw discard and we have 10 discard spells. 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 8. We don't have enough to peer, though. We do have a big echo line. I guess it's reasonable to tap out now that I talked it out a bit more. But it still feels good, because it means we have a chance. Like if we draw a tutor here, we just win. Or not exactly, we have to echo. But shields were down. Saga was a great draw. It means we can start putting a win gun together without having to worry about silence. We just draw another swamp. Play it out. We're getting a bit lucky here that they don't draw LED or Dark Ritual, or even just a couple lands in a row. So we make Construct, and even just getting 1 hit in on a Construct is huge, right? Plus now we get to get Haywire Might. It's basically like that was the crucial turn. That was the turn that they had to do something. Because now they're getting attacked down to 11, so Ad Nauseam is that much worse. And we're going to blow up their Wishclaw. I'll attack them first so I can get the extra point of damage. Blow up Wishclaw. Not for nothing, we gain 2. They don't have Metalcraft anymore. Now they have to go for a Hail Mary Brainstorm, which whiffs. And we win. Alright. See you in the next round. Okay, here we are in round 3 against Magic Dad 715-22. And we have lost the die roll. And we have... it's kind of a clunky hand, but you could keep this. And it does have turn 1 discard and very high chance of moving into an active Saga. So you have 3 draws to hit either Soul Land, Singleton Chrome Mox, Artifact Land plus Opal, Petal plus Opal, Opal plus really any other 0 artifact. Even a Black Source is not the end of the world. We can continue to discard and work towards an Ad Nauseam. I'm going to keep it. It's possible I shouldn't have. I'm willing to accept that. They mulligan to 6. Uh-oh. Marsh Flats. Is it degenerate? Oh, it seems as such. It's feeling like Reanimator. which overall is a very good matchup for us. Yep, there's Atraxa, there's a pedal. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Please, I'm begging you. Okay, okay. 2 cards left in their hand. Hopefully only one possible reanimation card. Let's bobble them. Unmask underneath. Let's... We can ritual, copy Saga, and discard? Okay, we can ritual, discard first, then decide. They have unmask on top. We can take Dark Ritual and then dare them to use unmask on us. Because then we can tutor grab Saga. If we take Exhume, they're going to get to unmask us, and we have to draw a card because we bobbled. I'm going to take Ritual. I'm going to copy Saga, get a Saga, play Saga. They want to waste their Exhume. Be my guest. And then we're hoping to draw Black Source and Thoughtseize their Exhume. If they don't, that was probably the worst draw in the deck. That and Burning Wish. So they're not going to use it, understandably so. And we drew the 2 worst draws in the deck. Yikes. Alright, so they drew another black card so that they could use their unmask. At least they didn't draw land. They'd probably just take our Thoughtseize here. They took Tendrils. Awkward choice. That's a good draw. Tap this. Go get Chromox. Yeah, I get Chromox. Imprint. Yeah, I mean, we're just going to go full beatdown mode. Our Tendrils in the graveyard, and then our other win con is right here, and I don't think we're going to use it, what, to echo? I don't think so. We're going to beat them up with these constructs, and we can discard them, take that Exhume, and then we can get another Saga, possibly, with this Infernal Tutor. We drew the land, turn too late. Let's go. Let's make a thing. Get Spellbomb. How much does Shadow Spear change the clock? So an artifact gives us, they take 3, they go to 16, and then we're attacking for 8 and then 8. I think Opal is actually just better. Or Spellbomb. Opal lets us, like, go Hellbent quicker, though. Gives us blue mana if we run into Spellbomb anyways. Do I want to use Thoughtseize right now? I think I do. I want to remain Hellbent. Nice. Okay, so we go land drop. We cast Tutor. Get Spellbomb. Cast Spellbomb. Put them to 3. Now, even if they play Atraxa, and obviously Reanimate is turned off, but even if they play Atraxa, we can bounce it. Big trouble. We got him. That was close. Usually if we lose the die roll, we lose game 1. And then we're still pretty favored because post-board we're just super favored. So it's really nice that we're up a game. So we get to play Leylines, which means we get to play Helm. And since we're taking Ad Naus out, since we're bringing in all these 4-drops, we then have the benefit of being able to bring in Echo and Peer as well. And Haywire Might is good against Serenity, so we'll be bringing that in. Needle's fine, but I don't think I want to bring it in. And then we don't need Spellbomb, or I'm sorry, Shadow Spear. This is probably weaker discard generally. Go down a little bit of discard and cut some baubles. Let's try that. You do want a fair amount of discard though, so that you can discard Show and Tells, discard Serenity, Wear and Tear. The hand is fine. It's not perfect, but it's fine. And sometimes people are definitely blindsided by Leyline from a Storm deck, and they just scoop. But at this point, I got to imagine that a lot of these players have seen it, and have seen this deck already. Probably a good take. They are down to 4 cards. And the bug. The Thoughtseize bug. We got him. Question is, do we draw a card? Probably not, huh? Really just want to draw Saga. It's the best thing you can draw. Because it gets your win cons and your Haywire Might. Right now, we're pretty open to Serenity. Wow. Let's go fishing. I'm going to draw. Black Source. That's close. That's the other thing we wanted. It is a turn too late if they have Serenity in hand right now. Then we have to draw Black Source. Uh-oh. I'm okay with show and tell, most likely. That's also fine. Truly do not care about that. Alright, so Saga's in there. They're getting in for 3. Make a dude. Untap. Okay. I guess I'm worried about silence. Also wear and tear. Like you could Helm here, but I think we're supposed to just make constructs, get a Haywire Might. Attack you for 6. And pass. Like you can peer there, but then you get wrecked by silence. You can Helm, but then you get wrecked by wear tear, which they don't seem to have. They did not get a white source. And we got him! Alright, we are 3-0. See you in round 4. Alright, here we are in round 4. We are undefeated, and we have lost the die roll. We have an acceptable hand I will keep. Against the blue deck, I'm fine with that. Preordained, so likely some sort of combo deck. I think the time has passed where this means tempo, right? Those decks are playing Bauble alongside their Brainstorm and Ponder. And we drew another reasonable draw. Part of me wants to play Wishclaw. His odds are we're not dead next turn, and they don't run pending. If they want to force it, I'm fine with that. So we can make use of both of our mana. And then next turn we'll have enough mana to Duress and Wishclaw, which is more efficient for mana purposes. Days would be worst case scenario. Yep. But it does set them back. Guess I won't Bobble. Let's Pedal. So it is some sort of combo. Let's play Swamp. Bobble. Grizzlebrand, okay. Sneak and Show confirmed. Could be under Duress, Fluster, which is why I was hesitant to use the Bobble and cast the Bobble. But I still would like to do that to inform my Duress. It's pretty unlikely they have Fluster, plus it's not the end of the world anyways if they do. So we just have it wrapped up here, because top of their deck is Grizzlebrand, and this is why you Bobble. Because now we just know that we can take days, we can play Wishclaw, we even get to see their next draw. So one of the really powerful things about this deck is that you can maintain perfect information over the course of several turns, which feels really good. Let's Bobble again. So we know at best they have a sneak attack next turn, but they can't even activate. We already have enough on board to add Naz, and we have +1 with a land drop. +2, I guess we'll make the land drop, why not? Could hold out for City of Traders, but it's whatever. It's gonna be enough. Don't sweat it. It's all gonna be okay. And they're off it. On a game 2. So I don't think we do much here. We want Needle for sneak attack. I don't think we want Haywire Might. Sometimes they play Leyline of Sanctity, but whatever. If we add Naz, we could add Naz into discard plus Burning Wish to cast Feed the Swarm. That does cost a lot of life, but I still don't think I want to bring in Haywire Might. We don't need Shadow Spear. Aether Spellbomb is actually quite good. And the rest of our deck is mana, action, and discard, which we want the most efficient deck at producing those things. Okie dokie. If we can get one more Black Source off the top, or Dark Ritual, opponent is in trouble. Okay. Let's make this Lines of Diamond juicy. They're F6'd. What are you doing to me, OP? What are you doing? Should we just go for it? Are you really gonna do this to me? Are they gonna trick me? Falling for it. If it's a trick, I'm falling for it. It's not a trick. This is not a drill. They just F6'd. We hit nothing but zeros for so long. The opponent has died. Oh, it's disgusting. Alright. 4-0. I will see you in the final round for the trophy. Alright, here we are in the final round, the trophy match. It was an instant queue, so I'm here almost as quick as you are. We have won the die roll. Himrak Go MTG. I like it. Huh. It's slow as shit. It feels so much better if it had some discard. It does have a redraw. GLHF. V2. We're gonna exclaim that one. Oy. This is tough. It's stable. It's definitely stable. It's tempting to Saga first with this hand. I think we're supposed to Saga first. I'm gonna keep. Doesn't feel great. Last match of the night. Let's make it a banger. Heck yeah. Oh man, it's their trophy match too. They said they're streaming. I told them we're recording YouTube. Cool, cool, cool. Should we stream snipe and just put it as a YouTube? Can you imagine that? And I'll make the thumbnail like TonyScapone stream snipes. Just snipe them. This isn't starting cash money. Oh, they mulled a 5. Okay. Okay. Do we want to bobble ourselves to inform whether or not we want a saga? The problem is, even if it's not, like, there's not many draws that would have me like, okay, I'm definitely, and there's not many draws that are gonna make us not play saga. Like, I think I'm just rolled up on saga. In which case, I should just bobble them on their turn, dodge discard. However, we have 2 tutors, so maybe it's better to look at them and just do it on our turn. Emrakul, okay. So that has me even more convinced that I need to play Saga. So we just need to go fast. We want to draw a discard and get to our Saga popping off so that we can kill them. We have 10 discard spells, 2 draws, bang. Now we want to draw 1, 2, 5, 6, 7. I mean, I guess Dark Ritual is the best draw, but it still doesn't have us discarding plus Dark Ritual. Are we gonna Brainstorm off a Petal after a Mold of 5? Ponder. Ooh. Oh boy. Did find an Ancient Tomb. Did they shuffle on that? They did shuffle. So that is not an ideal land. Don't think they have a colored source. And now we get to take a peek. So if they draw colored, a blue source, they'd get to show and tell an Emrakul, which we don't really care about. What we care about is them brainstorming, but they wouldn't brainstorm anyways. But they might. If they show and tell Emrakul, we're just gonna kill them. So I'm gonna take the brainstorm. Wasn't the best 5, lol. Yeah. Well, Team No Scoop, they said. Alright, Petal is a good one. Does that give us a pier? LED, Swamp, Petal. They are F6'd. Let's get them with the pier. Now, they could have drawn 4s exactly. They seem to be F6'd. They are indeed. Ritual, ritual, ritual. They're sending a lot of messages for someone who's streaming. Wander, lay out our stuff, and get them with the tenders. A lot of messages. This isn't starting cash money well, but Team No Scoop wasn't the best 5. Ad Nauseam Storm, beautiful. I'm ready for it. Okay. So, same deal. We want Needle. We don't need Shadow Spear. And we don't need Haywire Might. Pretty good against Sneak and Show. Especially if they have to, like, Show and Tell an Emrakul or something. Can be anemic. Okay, so we opened up a pretty powerful hand. We want to draw into discard and more mana. Best draw would be Opal. That's not the greatest. Let's get a Bobble in there. Daze, okay. Daze, daze, daze. I mean, I still think it's supposed to run this out. At least make them pick up their land. Yep, it's basically just a really expensive duress. It's like a reverse Force of Will. And make them pick up a land. But we are really hoping to draw land so that we can just keep ramming these Wish Claws down their throat. Now they have to cast an awkward Brainstorm, or I guess they don't have to, but they did. They got no lands in play. Land, please. Thank you. This is why we went up to 15 lands. So they played a different land, which is interesting. Saga was a good draw. Once again, run one of these into Daze. Spell Pierce? No, another Daze. That's fine. I'm gonna pick up their land again. You drew discard. That's very good. We have three options. We can play Wishclaw and pass, hoping they don't have force or they choose not to force it. And then next turn we'll have more than enough mana to Thoughtseize into Ad Naus. We can Thoughtseize, and then depending on what we see, decide from there. We can Ritual Thoughtseize, because then next turn we're going to have enough to Ad Naus anyways. So I think I do want to make use of this Ritual. I'm just not sure if I necessarily want to Thoughtseize, so if we Ritual, we have enough to Ritual Thoughtseize or Ritual Wishclaw. I mean, Ritual, we can make constructs, we can Thoughtseize, and we can Wishclaw. We can do 2 out of those 3 things if we Ritual first. I think I'd rather do 2. We're 1 shy of actually Ad Nausing now, in the event that they had nothing. Wow. They don't have much. So we take Fluster, we make constructs, play out LED, and pass, and once again we're going to have enough to Ad Naus next turn, even with making constructs. We gotta hope they don't draw force now. Ooh, that's scary. If they shuffle, we're going. If they don't, then we probably make constructs and needle on sneak attack. If we draw a discard, it's a different story. They chose not to shuffle, and they're gonna miss their land drop. They're gonna forget to play a land. Okay. Thought for a second they were forgetting. Okay, we drew a land. I think we make constructs and get needle. We get a little bit punished by show and tell, if that's what they're drawing into. They haven't slammed it yet. Maybe they're just deciding which one to put into play. Yep. Ouch. So we do get to see what they put in, or what they get. They did find a Force of Will. Trax is in. Damn. Maybe we should have gone for it, huh? So any artifact is good for us. Let's do show and tell so we can get rid of one of those. Maybe I'm supposed to just get Spellbomb. Well, if I get Spellbomb, they put Archon into play. And then one of our dudes dies. Alright, they took Petal, played Petal. Fable, Show and Tell, so Preordain's out. Ancient Tomb and Force Will's Ancient Tomb, so Scalding Tarn Mountain is out. Force of Will, so Brainstorm's out. They should have 6 cards. They have 7. Did we miss something? I guess their draw step. Yeah, there was 1 unknown card. That makes sense. Artifact land. Dark Ritual. They're gonna get to Show and Tell Archon. 5, 5, 6, 6, 5, 5s. 10, 1, 2, 3. I don't think we have a chance if we pass, so I think we gotta hope that they let Spellbomb resolve. Nope, they didn't. I don't think it was gonna be good, even if it did, but we didn't really have an out. Okay. I think we were supposed to go for it. So they didn't shuffle. Like, given their hand, I think it was. No, I don't know. A tough spot. Definitely a tough spot. I think we keep. We can turn 1 unprotected. I kept on 7. I think I want to lead on Spellbomb. Maybe I was supposed to hold that in case they show and tell Emrakul. They're probably holding up Fluster. Let's Cabal Therapy. They do have a Daze, so we can't get through that. But we're super close. Misty, they're going to Brainstorm. I think we might wind up having to pick an imperfect window here again. As we draw discard, we're still going to be stuck behind this Daze. If we draw mana, we're not going to have discard. They played a Petal. Oh, man. If we wait, we're likely in trouble. If Daze is their only thing, we can go. I think either way, we are supposed to Thoughtseize. Would have been nice to have drawn a land at some point just so we could redraw off of this. Although it is nice to have it. Oh my goodness. They truly have nothing else. So we have a land drop. And we're going to have Ad Naus from 18. Extremely high odds. Not guaranteed. City's good. All this discard is not good. LED's good. Wishclaw's fine. LED again. Another LED. Do we hit a black source. Not even a black land. There it is. Alright, we officially got it in the bag here. And that's the trophy, baby. That is a trophy. Cast their spells. Do all the stuff. Do some things. Discard them, why not? Play city. Tap the city. Play Wishclaw. Activate Wishclaw. Get the tendies. And get them. Damn. That's the trophy, baby. That was a close match. GG's. All right, we got the trophy. Let's go back to the list. So it felt very strong. I want to say it's felt a bit smoother, right? I mean, we're getting the lands more often that we need. We're getting the discard more often that we need. No wonder when you put more of a card in your deck, you draw it more often. So that in combination with having the redraws as opposed to having Cabal Ritual, which oftentimes was just we wanted a land instead. So yeah, I'd say that league went pretty smoothly. I mean, we did trophy. Not to say that trophy just equals perfect list, but it it felt as though the problems that we often run into were not nearly as present as they normally are. And the things we were trying to improve were noticeably better. And yeah, so we naturally we wound up winning, huh? We played against Show and Tell twice, which is a very good matchup for us. The Epic Storm, which is a very difficult matchup for us right now, just because of the fact that they're running 2 Silence and 2 Orum's Chant, as well as Thoughtseizes out of the sideboard. They have access to Prismatic Ending. They can kill quickly. Like, that matchup is actually pretty bad for us. But it's certainly a game. I mean, we have discard. We also have a fast kill. We have backdoor kills with Saga if they're farting around, so they trip up. We tend to punish people for it. And we did in that match. We played against that fair mono black deck, which, I mean, no joke, it had some cards that were definitely problems for us. Opposition agent oftentimes gives us problems, but we do have the benefit of just making big dudes that they can't handle. And then, honestly, I can't remember what the 5th match was that we played, but I had a blast, and guess what? Guess what? Look who's on top, baby. That put us to number 1. Ooh, 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 ooh. Trophy leader with 7 trophies. So, you know, currently the trophy leader. Currently tied for the trophy lead. Because being the trophy leader means you're the best player in the world at the time. Correct? Right? Fact. Fact. Count it. I'm just playing. But yeah, I really like this list. Spellbomb, in addition to these, as opposed to being in place of, feels a lot better. Because when it was in place of a bauble, you always felt like, well, if this was a bauble, and oftentimes it would be better if it were a bauble, but we have plenty of baubles. I know how 6 baubles feel, and it always felt like too much, although who knows, maybe given the new configuration, that's where we should go. But I'm very happy with this card in the main deck right now, so I think I'm going to continue to test it for the foreseeable future. I do like how it opens up our sideboard. We didn't have to dip into these removal pieces. Oh, Reanimator. That was the other match. Yeah, we pulled off a game 1 win that we didn't have much business winning. And then we got him with Leyline. So that's a pretty easy match. That's a really good matchup for us, mostly just because of the sideboard plan is so solid. We're just very good at actually, like a lot of decks that play Leyline have to really neuter their game plan, and although we do reduce it a bit, Helm slides right in. Helm plus Activate costs the same amount as Ad Nauseam, so despite taking Ad Nauseam out, as long as Leyline is in play and there isn't a huge threat to it being removed on the stack, we have access to that 5 mana I win, so that's good there. Plus, we just have the very low resource banger, that being Saga, that, you know, gives us a kill as well as further constricts our opponent and their plan to combat our ley line. So I feel very comfortable in that matchup. I feel very comfortable with the list, and I think I'm going to keep jamming it this way. So hope you enjoyed yourself, and I will see you in the next one.